It is pretty uniquely American.
Greg, do you agree on that it's uniquely American, or?
Yeah, I'm reminded of a time that when the show was on and we were doing international press, and a person from England said that they thought the most brilliant piece of satire in the show was that the characters went to a department store to buy guns. And they were like, how did you think of that? And I was like, well, that's what you can do.
On the other hand, how do you explain that it's so well known internationally? Why does it work, even outside of America?
Does it work outside of America?
Yes, it does. Remember? You're in France.
I think what Mike was saying about seeing people in tractors, and there's something where Hank is everybody's uncle.
Yeah.
And
And Hank always represents common sense, you know, and being fair, and values that I do think are still relevant, you know, around the world today.
How do these characters changed in such a long time? How do they make them evolve? Did they change with society? Did they change because they grew older?
I mean, I'll speak for myself. I think Hank changed as we got older. And Hank seems to be experiencing some things that we have experienced. We've, you know, got kids have grown up, you know, kids have both either gone away or come back home, dealing with relationships like marriage and things as time goes on and how those things change. I think it was, you know, perfect timing for us to also be able to give Hank and Peggy and, you know, the Alley guys some of those experiences, as well as have Bobby and Connie experience some things that our kids may be going through.
All of you are Hank in a way or another? The three of you? Do you relate to him in any way?
Oh, to Hank?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that, Mike.
I remember I was just thinking, I remember the moment where I became older than Hank.
Right.
Like a lot of us writers early on were like in our 30s or early 30s, and like I think it was around 2002 or something.
without sharing too much, I thought it was very funny to give Hank something called a narrow urethra, which I made up. Thought was sort of fictional. And now I see that it's actually real.
Hank sounds like a good friend of mine named Mike, so I relate to him in that way a lot. So I've always joked, I've been a mid-50s old white man since I was a 20-year-old black man, so.
That means that you're still having a great time doing the show after so many years and having fun doing it.
You know, it is fun. I mean, look, I give all respect to Mike and Greg. They created the original. I was a big fan of the original, just like many of us were. And they, you know, they created a family where people enjoy going and are empowered to do their best. And so I'm grateful to them for welcoming me into that family. So it has really been a joy to revisit these characters that they, you know, created and became such an iconic part of so many of our, you know, TV viewing experiences.
Do you think about them on a long-term period? I mean, are you ready? Would you be ready to know what's going to happen to them in 10 years, for example? Will they still be around? And
We're working pretty far ahead of schedule, actually. It's animation. That's one of the.
Yeah, I know.
Not quite 10 years, but well, we probably can't give away too much. But,
I don't personally think we should age them again.
Right.
Yeah, we're already doing stories about retirement and stuff. Terrible if it was all like heart disease.
Well, they don't age, but there is an evolution in the way they behave, because society is evolving.
Well, for me, a lot of the beginning was to try to not step on The Simpsons, which is where I'd come from before, and so to set the show specifically in Texas, I always was like very excited to, you know, read Mike's brilliant draft of the show that where it was so specific, you know, and the Simpsons was like everywhere America. But also the Simpsons just reset every episode, and so one of the things we did was there was very slow aging in the original show, so that the character of Joseph, for instance, went through puberty and was a different actor, and so when it came time to do this reboot, we decided to age them 10, 15 years or something.
Yeah, I think it really kind of breathed new life into it, doing that. It just seemed like, also it just seemed like what the fans wanted was for Bobby to be older. Yeah, it's been really fun to do it. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna have him get into a nursing home or anything like that.
Yeah, for example, Bobby is particularly interesting, I think, in this arc. Is it difficult to make him, you know, evolve and change and get old? Because he's the one who changed the most, I think.
Yeah, that was lots of discussions and meetings and many drawings, and I'm really happy with the way what we settled on, and it seems like the fans are, so it's been really nice to see people be into it.
Embrace that, yeah. When we first started talking about it, I remember it was really important to Greg and Mike to show that adult Bobby had inherited some things from Hank, who is his dad, that, you know, even though Hank may have been frustrated with Bobby as a kid, not having some work ethic, you know, is still a part of him, and we wanted to show that with the restaurant and things like that. So, you know, it's been good to see the audience embrace that part of Bobby, as well as, you know, the fun stuff. You know, he doesn't kick people in the nuts anymore, but.
Mike, you were talking about fans. Do you take their advice into consideration? Do you study, you know, for example, fan works and?
Sometimes, I guess, yeah. I mean, just kind of taking the temperature of what's out there. But a lot of times it's just people I know, you know, and my daughters and their friends, you know, like.
I remember you were on Twitter, and people would constantly send you tattoos that they had, characters, right? And,
yeah, and actually, yeah, people on Twitter would put X, whatever, they put, people would do their own drawings of Bobby and Connie, you know, in their 20s, together, married. Lots of fan fiction that probably maybe consciously inspired us, but that just seemed to be the way to go. We all kind of agreed.
Does it mean that you think about the show all the time? I mean, even in everyday life, do you take notes on people, what people say, and what people's reaction, or news, or whatever?
Yeah.
I think that's very common when the show is observational humor and very realistic and relatable. And my wife's here. I used to take so many stories from her. And you know, there's a time when Peggy is second guessing herself, I think, in the Boggle tournament, and Hank says, you know, I'll tell you something that my coach told me, and she's like, yeah, please, what is it? You're a baby, stop being such a big baby, you know? Which is something I think I did to her in her career.
And the episode that you guys just watched with the electric truck, you know, that came from us, the writers, talking. You know, I have a Tesla that I got before, you know, but I used to show off by letting it come and drive itself to come pick me up, and so they loved that joke. But we turned it into an episode, though. You know.
And do you sometimes censor yourself and say, oh, we can't do that?
Censors?
Yeah, and so I think, well, we can't do that, or maybe that's too much, or too.
Mike and Greg censor me all the time.
I was just learning that Bobby isn't kicking anybody in the nuts. That was a disappointment to me.
Yeah, that's true. I must admit, a little to me too. No, seriously.
So, I mean, I will say I learned a lot from Mike and Greg in terms of how important it was to the show and to them to make sure that we can satirize the extremes in terms of, you know, social commentary, but that really the show's purpose is to bring people to some sort of common understanding. And so there were certainly times when we would have an idea and like, well, you know, let's that idea may be leaning to one way left or one way right. Let's really try to work harder, and that's what I really learned from them. Let's just take the time and the effort to work a little harder and come up with something that may be a little smarter and that may be challenging to us, but to be able to find more common ground that we can then focus on.
Does it mean that humor has changed over the years when you started with, for example,